Hey everyone, welcome back to Barely Tactical. I'm Nathan, this is Sean, and we have a fun new video for you today.
So, we thought with military rifles kind of being a bit of a buzzword out there...
They're in the news, they're killing people.
Every day. So we thought we'd do our top 5 military rifles that we own so far.
Borrowed.
Or borrowed, in one case, spoiler. We thought we'd kind of mention that military rifles doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means sometimes, because most firearms that are around today are derivative of something that was in the military. And what distinguishes a shotgun designed for the military or a shotgun designed for ducks? Who knows? Sometimes it matters.
Camouflage.
Camouflage, that's right.
Money Girl pink makes it a duck gun, black makes it a military
You'll
gun.
notice that every single rifle that we have here is tactical black. Including our
assault weapon black.
Assault weapon black.
You've heard it here first.
Including our very first one, which is from 1861, which is an assault rifle cap-lock musket.
Fully semi-automatic?
You know it. Oh, God. I have in my hands the 1861 Springfield rifled musket. Now, this was designed and implemented during the American Civil War, which tells you how old it is. And
what's 1861 mean?
Oh, it's kind of, it might be the year it was introduced. As you can see, as I can barely fit this in frame, Shillong.
But that's how good it is at killing people.
Yeah, every
innocent people. Every inch is more death.
Exactly. And yeah, so this is obviously a cap lock, which is very modern. Everybody uses that now. But this is a newly acquired military rifle of mine. Just goes to show you that that word doesn't really mean much. It's kind of like military grade. Doesn't really mean what you think it means. So,
are they the lowest bidder, Sean?
Who knows? It's like NASA, you know. So
they don't own space.
This is a .58 caliber musket, which fires. Now again, this has the Garand kind of symptom where it's technically it fires a ball made by a gentleman named Minier, but everybody calls it the mini ball. So it's a .58 caliber mini ball, which is hollow base, and it sucks to get hit by because it just kind of smashes into you. This was not even necessarily the pinnacle of technology that they had back then, because lever guns and even self-contained cartridges started to come around. But this old black powder beauty is... I can't wait to shoot this. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's pretty slick, and I think it was kind of a... implement of the times, like we can make it fast and make lots of them, as opposed to it being the best for the time period.
Looks like I have it leveled at your head, but I don't.
Three dimensions. I can tell I'm pretty far before I touch it.
But yep. So this is by far the oldest military rifle we have in the house, I believe. But we have 2 runners up for the second oldest, and we're going to get to the next one now.
In second place, we have the venerable Carcano. Now, this particular one is a cavalry model from 1918, but this thing can trace its lineage back to 1891, which puts it in second place for oldest design.
It's tied for second place.
Yeah, tied in second place. The Italians used it into the 80s. Some police forces still have them kicking around. These things are small, they're short, they're nifty, they barely recoil. They're actually a pretty great design for the time. It's a simplified Mauser action. People think they're kind of crude. There's no way this could have killed Kennedy. The guns are so bad. I don't want to say what did or didn't happen in case was it Ventura comes after me, the governor that disproved it. But I think it's possible. Any thoughts, Sean?
It's honestly they're kind of ugly. I'm all put it like I like them. I'm a little...
the triangular bayonet, Sean.
That's so strange. I'm a little confused by why they have so many like carbine variants, considering Italy is all like mountains and like long ranges and such.
Easier to trudge through the rocks, you know?
I guess, I don't know, I'm just thinking like,
the people also weren't big. Like modern Italians are small. Now imagine...
It's true, they were...
old Italians.
Yeah, eat some pasta, cheers. Yeah, it's 6.5 by 52. Yeah, so
most of them were in. Mid-World War II, they tried bumping it up to a 30 cal. Yeah. I believe it's a 7.35 by 52, and it was not a big catch.
For some reason, you won't find too many stamped 1944 or 45 from the war. I don't know why. That's strange. I did not realize this was used up until like the 80s in some facets.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going up against like the FAL and things like that. Like, think about its contemporaries, right? Like,
oh yeah, it was
shooting war with the UK. It's like,
well, I guess it kind of falls into the same thing as like the Lee-Enfield or the Mosin. Like, I'm sure it's not frontline troops having; it's probably just like ceremony guard and yeah.
If you come around the corner and somebody's got an AK or some kind of Kalashnikov and you've got this in your hand, it's probably the old Italian hands up kind of.
The old Italian high five.
Hey, I'm actually on your team. Yeah.
But no, these things are great, and they were or / are affordable at this time. A bunch of them came into the country a couple of years ago. I already had a Sporter one, and I could not resist picking up a full wood example from World War One.
Yeah. But I gotta say, I think my next entry is just as cool, if not cooler.
More, better, bold statement.
The Vadish. Up next, we have what we affectionately call the Nugget, or the Moist Nugget, or the Mosin Nagant. I've heard people call it Mosin Nagant and Nagant and stuff.
Not everyone can read.
No, it's a Mosin.
I take Fire Rod over that.
So apparently the only guns I brought to this list were massive, because this thing is just as long almost as the Springfield. So this is the model 9130, which means this was actually designed and implemented in 1891, and then they were re-arsenaled and kind of looked at in 1930. There
are some revisions around the use of smokeless powder as opposed to black powder, which it was originally designed for, which proves its what do you want to call it? Vintage.
Yeah, I love this. This is honestly probably my favorite gun in my collection, affectionately known as Ivan. I can't imagine why I called it that. It fires a 7.62 by 54R, which stands for rimmed, not Russian.
What the internet said it meant Russian.
It fires great. I mean, this is I should have looked before because I remember 1936. Tula made. There was two plants or factories, whatever, that made this Tula in Ishevitz. So I got a pre-war one from supposedly the better factory. Who knows, though? Apparently that's just kind of up for debate.
Yeah, it's a red apple, green apple scenario. Tula fans will crap on the other one, and Ishevitz fans will crap on Tula. They both make garbage rods, so
yeah,
who's worse?
It's very smooth shooting. It's got some weight to it. As you'll see, it is a straight bolt handle, so it's not the nicest thing to do. Actually, that was pretty smooth, but like most times you have to drop it down and get the old bolt going. Personal fan favorite from the movie Enemy at the Gates. I don't have the PU sniper variant, but those are extremely expensive and sought after. So I'm not Vasily Zaitsev, but maybe I'll be White Death, because he didn't use a scope.
Yeah, no kidding.
But,
do you remember those were $200, Sean?
I was going to get into that part because I bought this for my birthday 5 years ago, I think, is it now? Something like that, for $200. And I was like, oh man, this is a steal. Like, oh, it's great. What are they now?
$500 to $700. That's what you used to have to pay for like a mint condition M44. Now a mint condition M44 is like a $2,000 rifle, and these are $500 to $700. Shooter's grade. So not even hand select, not great, like perfect ones. Like, oh, this is what's left. Blow the dust off, scrape some Coswing off the side to read the numbers, and send it out the door.
100%. But they're still cool rifles. I will almost guarantee that every one of them saw action of some sort, because these were actually going to be replaced by the SPT-40, but then Hitler had something to say about the timing of his invasion there. So every one of these was brought back into service and saw some action. So there was some conscripts behind these.
Hey, some would say they had more men than rifles at certain points.
Weird, right? But I love it. There's probably going to be a video on this too. There'll probably be a video on
there will be a video
on the Nugget.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We have one of its contemporaries up next, I believe.
Oh, Barely Tactical did it again. More Lee-Enfields. We promise this isn't barely Lee-Enfields, but we can't have a military rifles list without them, especially being in Canada. They made literally millions of them. The earliest models were in the 1890s, I believe it was 1896, the Lee Long Mag, Lee Short Mag, number 1s, number 1 Mark 3s, number 4 Mark 1s, number 4 Mark 2s. There's a million different variants, different countries made them, almost all Commonwealth countries. They're great. Ammo was cheap, but we've mentioned our, thanks to the boomers for shooting all of the surplus ever at trash cans and, literally nothing. This particular model is a number 4 Mark II, not a Mark I, which most people usually have. It's one of the famous Irish contract rifles. It has slightly different sights on it. It is pretty slick in 303, as you know it, as you love it, as you need it. They're great rifles. Some people consider this like the best iteration of the 303 versions. They're a joy to shoot. There's not a whole lot to say about it. Sean, you have a Lee-Enfield. What's going on there?
That's a great question, considering you just handed me to this, and I had this to me, and I don't know much about it. I know it's in 308, which is to a point that most of the Enfields in Canada, which we were actually discussing the other day, that probably most of the Enfields in the world end up in Canada, I swear, because in the UK you really can't have guns, unfortunately. Same kind of goes with New Zealand and Australia, all the other Commonwealth.
We might have the most still left.
We might have still left, yeah, exactly. So this is very much a Canadian rifle. Pretty much everybody has an Enfield. This one's in 303. 308, I mean, which is cool because 308 is fun and easy to load.
More economical, more commercially available. I'll step in, I put Sean on the spot, and I'm like, hey, hold on Lee-Enfield, this one has a different story than the rest of them.
Yeah, we should have switched.
That one's a Long Branch manufacturer, post-war in 308, which was kind of a neat thing that we did. It has sporting sights. It's been clearly chopped up. Both of these have. They're not full wood, because we're peasants, and full wood is like 5 chopped up sporters, money-wise, so... Why own a nice gun when you can own lots of mediocre guns and shoot them lots? Yeah. Mediocre is best. 308, 303, pick your flavor. You know, volley sights, modern sporting sights, you name it. They're fun to shoot. They're great.
Yeah.
They're Canadian.
There are a lot of first-timers guns, too, I believe. A lot of people have.
First-timers and old-timers.
And old-timers, yeah. So they've taken down everything in North America, pretty much. So
yeah. Polar bear down to bipedal mammals. They've done it all. They've been in every continent.
But if anything illustrates the futility of saying, oh, it's a military firearm, I think the Enfield does, because everybody in Canada has one, so it's like, oh,
military grade.
There's
too many of these in circulation.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're right, yeah, there's this 10-shot, you know, fully semi-automatic death machine, obviously in black polymer and stuff.
Yeah, well, considering there's the bare minimum, hundreds of thousands of these in Canada. And that's being like low ball.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 6 in this house. Is there 5 or 6 in this house? Like at least
5 to 7. We'll double check somewhere. That bare minimum, there's hundreds of thousands of these in Canada. How many shootings happen? Person on person shootings happen with Lee-Enfields in Canada. I'd be curious to see that number of 0 underlined, highlighted maybe once or twice.
Yeah, as I say, what is 2 times 0? Divide the...
We can't divide by 0, Sean.
The I don't know.
Will explode.
It's low, though. It might even be less than nothing. Anyways.
Scary military guns.
Yeah.
Watch out, kids. They'll get you.
We shouldn't have these military-grade firearms.
Should not have them.
Yeah. Speaking of, we now have, I think 2 more. We said it's a top 5. We're kind of combining 2.
We're sweetening the deal. Yeah. It's a buy 5, get 6.
We think you'll understand why. And for our vaunted number 5 spot, these aren't actually in any kind of order aside from the year that they were made. We have Ty, which is the SKS, and what do you have there?
This is the Norinco / Polytech Type 81 SA.
Yeah, so these are both pretty common in Canada as well. This has a similar story as the Mosin, where it was cheap and is no longer cheap, so there might be less of them in the future. But this is the SKS. It was adopted in Russia in 1946, officially, and much like the unfortunate story of the M14, this just came about at a time when newer technology and better technology was right on the cusp of coming out, so it had quite the short life.
If this was designed in 45, what came out in 47 that would have been better? I couldn't imagine.
I don't know, I just work here, man. I don't know. But still a cool rifle. This should be 10 rounds, but Canada. A lot of them have this built-in bayonet, which is kind of cool. Something I didn't mention about the Mosin is its bayonet is also a flathead screwdriver, because Russia. They're fun to shoot. If you're looking for like accuracy competitions, or like if you're like, oh man, I'm gonna blow you away with it, like probably not. They're inherently not that great.
Like a good SKS is like a 2 or 3 MOA gun. The average SKS is like a 5 MOA gun. Not to reach over here, but you'll notice it like moves around in its stock a couple mil side to side.
Yeah, it's kind of
it has the Hollywood jiggle. You know, guns make a little extra sound in the movies. Like this one's actually.
Yeah. Fun to shoot, 7.62 by 39, which is also used by other rifles. I don't know which ones though.
No, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it's weird.
But 1 million countries made them. I mean, maybe not 1 million.
Yeah.
500,000 countries made them. You know, Yugoslavia, Russia, China. They all had their own versions. Some had like AK mags, whatever the heck an AK is. Some are integral.
Yeah.
Some were allegedly even full auto. I couldn't imagine that.
Oh, jeez. But the fun thing about this is that these two firearms are extremely similar in a lot of ways. One of which is because Canada. So what do you got there?
So, this is the Type 81, some will go with the full name, Type 81 SA. It looks like an AK from a glance. You'll notice the receiver, for those that are, nerds, will say, oh, that looks a little bit long. It's actually more akin to an SKS internals-wise, despite being cool and looking AK-like. Doesn't take AK mags, however, a little birdie told me you can buy AK mags really cheap, and with a Dremel you can remove some of the extra material in the front and back, and then you have extra Type 81 mags. Instead of spending $1 million on these, get some cheapy Palmer AK mags, make some magic happen.
Still pinned to 5, just like this.
Oh, still pinned to 5. These things rock. There's an adjustable gas setting, there's no gas, normal amount of gas, and oh crap, this is full of mud amount of gas. I'd like to say they were cheap like the SKS, but these hit the market at $1,000. People bought a dozen of them each, and then since COVID, they're now worth $2,400, which is great considering some of them were actually manufactured bent, so the receiver and the barrel are not aligned. There's a bit of a going on.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a rumor, if it has been 100% confirmed that...
I've held a couple that have the Type 81 swing.
Well, that Norinco purposely gave us their, we'll say, discards in a way.
Yeah, that was rumored that the ones that didn't pass the inspection got sent to Canada as sporting guns, because we'll pay $1,000 for a $200 gun here, because we're great.
Yeah, and if you've bought anything off of Wish.com, you know that if something didn't really pass inspections or quality control, it probably wasn't that great. So, they'll sell anything.
For those that can afford them, they're super cool.
Yeah.
We borrowed this off someone because we are poverty tier. And as cool as these are, I could already hear the groans in the comment section. Well, if it's pinned to 5, isn't it pretty much just an expensive SKS? Well...
Yes.
Maybe, yes.
Honestly.
But grenade launching attachment for all the grenades we can't own in Canada. And maybe it is an SKS.
You're buying the aesthetics.
With banana mag.
Yeah, like they're cool, and like holding one, it's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, you feel like the bad guy in every movie ever.
Yeah. This is the one probably actual like scary gun, according to some.
But it has wood on it.
Honestly, even though realistically it's the same as this, like in almost every application, it is. This has a built-in bayonet, so this might even be technically
more scarier.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was actually used by the Chinese military.
Yeah, implemented 1983. Not a whole lot of use. It's been in multiple conflicts going back to period conflicts in Vietnam, South Asia, edge to edge.
This was replaced by the Type 96, was it? Or the...
So this hasn't been formally phased out, but it was never a front runner in their lineup. This was a secondary kind of thing. So it was a holdover because China bought the rights to make SKSs. It was going to buy the rights to make AKs, and somewhere through the negotiations they couldn't make licensed AKs. So they're, we'll make this while we figure out the dotted line. They did eventually make Chinese-built AKs that are actually AKs, not sort of SKSs. Mm-hmm. So this was really kind of like an M14 scenario of like cobble design that was an adaptation off of something they already had, and then a new design just overstepped it and made it semi-obsolete as soon as it came out.
True. Yeah. Well, I guess that's all we've got to say about these guys. A quick reminder of military firearms. They can be really fun. They shoot like the demonized term military firearms. If you kind of know. Like, we could grab any bolt action off the walls here. And
well, you see the bolt pattern. Oh, Mauser heritage. Oh, Mauser military rifle, bad.
Yeah, like my Ithaca 37 is a military firearm because people were walking through listening to Fortunate Son in Vietnam with them. Like, it's realistic, which is actually a really cool thought. I love my Ithaca 37. But
they used to make Stevens 67s, which tons of people used for beater, bush gun, truck gun, duck guns. They sent them to South Vietnam to be used against the Viet Cong. Like,
yeah. So I know we've been kind of hammering that point, but it's just, like, military gun doesn't mean like, oh, you mean an M4 or an AK-47? No, I mean an 1861 Springfield musket.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if military tech was bad for us, we wouldn't be using aluminum.
GPS.
Yeah, GPS,
anything,
four-wheel drive vehicles.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah, we'd be in the Stone Age if it wasn't for military-driven technology in some facet.
It's true. But so that is our top 5 list so far. We plan to acquire more and
Borrow some here and there.
Borrow some more. Oh yeah, we've got some fun things.
Some fuego coming down the pipe.
Yeah, things that we could never afford and we're actually afraid to touch, but we're gonna play with.
Like we're going to combine our credit scores to put out like a loan as a lien against the borrow in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put up both our left feet just in case.
Maybe a kid.
Yeah, but this has been our list. It will likely expand, but yeah, until then, keep your sights fixed on Barely Tactical, and we'll catch you next time.